Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al, and welcome to the Monday Night Football single game showdown on DraftKings. We're going to break down this game between the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions. It's an island game. It is what it is, but it's the only game in town, and DraftKings has a $2.5 million Monday Night Millionaire where there's a whole lot of money up for grabs. We're going to break down this slate. We're going to take a look at who's available, who's not, where you should look out for your captain spots, how to build multi-lineups using the Fantasy Labs lineup builder. So thank you for being here. Drop a like on the video. Let's see how many we can get. Pump it up. Let's see how many likes we can get on this video. Make sure that you subscribe to the video or to the channel. Ring that notifications bell. Leave me a reply down below with your kind of sneaky player that you think is going to be underplayed in the flex on this slate. And I definitely wanted to say thank you. If you guys look down below, like right down here, look at how much money you guys have raised just through 2 weeks of NFL. 9,500 plus for No Kid Hungry. There is a link that you can click right down below. If you expand the description, just click show more on the description. You too can take part in this amazing fundraiser that we're doing, and I will match every $5,000 that you guys raise up to $25,000 by the end of the season. Big thanks to Moonday, who donated $1,000 on the Anti-Tinker Cast on Sunday morning. So I'm excited. Let's do it.
He's a legend.
All right, so taking a look at what we have on this slate, obviously we've got, the team totals here are Green Bay has a team total of 30 points. Detroit has a team total of 18.5 points. So obviously most of the scoring is going to be predicted on, or at least fantasy scoring is going to be predicted on the Packers side of the ball. So you're going to see a lot of 4 Packers, 2 Lions, 5 Packers, 1 Lions combinations in tournaments, whether you're building using the Fantasy Labs lineup builder, or anything else. So Davante Adams, my cover boy, probably going to be the most popular captain, and for good reason. He projects for the highest total guy on the slate. This is what you're looking for in both a median and a ceiling projection. You want to cut your captain slots down so that basically you've only got exposure to guys that can lead the slate in scoring or be like top 3, top 4 on the slate in scoring. Don't get cute with your captain spot. Like a lot of people Thursday, in that game with the Giants and the Washington football team, we're saying, well, if I just slide in De'Ami Brown, I can fit basically every other high dollar player. Yeah, but like when you have Terry McLaurin going off and Daniel Jones going off and other players that are scoring 30 to 40 fantasy points, it's going to be impossible once they get that 1.5x on there for you to get there with De'Ami Brown and his like 14 points in your captain spot. Captain's the most important place. You need to whittle down your captain. So Davante Adams, if we're going to use Davante Adams and captain, I'm going to make sure that I'm also going to have Aaron Rodgers in every one of those lineups. And that goes for every single captain that you're going to use. Whichever you whittle your captain spots down to, make sure that you correlate your quarterback with the pass catcher in the captain spot to get the best out of it that you can. Aaron Jones, looks like a great bounce back spot for him after that goose egg that, Green Bay they just laid on the field in week 1 against New Orleans. And you saw how New Orleans got kind of trounced. This is a much softer spot across the board. So the Lions defense is not going to have Jeff Okudah, which is just going to make it even easier for Aaron Rodgers to chop up. I will be using Aaron Rodgers as captain. I will also be limiting Aaron Rodgers at the captain spot. There is ways that he can win it, but I don't want to have like 30, 40, 50% of my allocation at captain be a quarterback, considering that only 15% of all showdowns have ever been won with a captain quarterback. And typically those are overpopulated with guys like Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, players that can put up 35, Deshaun Watson, guys that could have put up 35 to 45 fantasy points at quarterback. If they have like a 30-point day, it's also probable that one of their pass catchers had themselves a 30 to 45 point day, and they would be the right captain to play. So have the quarterbacking captain, but kind of limit it. Also, in week 1 against the Lions, Jimmy Garoppolo averaged a league leading 12.8 yards per attempt. So this is a defense that can definitely be had. The Lions made it a game late as Jared Goff was allowed to basically throw the ball all over the field because Verrett's injury scared Shanahan into pulling basically half of his defensive starters when they were up like 25 points, which basically let Goff throw for 57 passes, but complete over 2/3 or exactly 2/3 of them for 3 touchdowns, 338 yards. Now, those balls went to specific players. Detroit is a very interesting team that we have to look at on this slate, particularly because Terrell the Gazelle is going to be out with a concussion. So now when you look at who they had playing, like, let me go bring up the snaps list that we had over here. Khalif Raymond played 75% of the snaps. Amon-Ra St. Brown played 64% of the snaps. Trinity Benson, 53%. Williams himself played 42 before leaving with injury. And Quintez Cephas played 35, but led the team in terms of targets on the outside. They also had a big contribution from both Jamal Williams with 9 targets to him and DeAndre Swift, who is listed as questionable. So obviously monitor this. He's probably going to be available, but he also had 11 targets. So like, you're not usually going to see 20 targets go to running backs, but that was just the way that the game went, and a whole lot of dump offs for Jared Goff. So considering that instead of those 5 guys on the outside at wide receiver, now only 4 of them are going to play. So you're going to get a whole lot of value on the outside between guys like Cephas, Khalif Raymond, who played a ton of snaps. I mentioned that Williams is out. Amon-Ra St. Brown at 3,600 seems way too cheap and is going to allow you to fit basically whatever you want. So if you're going with a Jared Goff lineup, if you're going to say, you know what, they're going to be behind so much and it's going to be a lot like week 1 where he's going to throw it 50 plus times against prevent defenses, if you think that Green Bay is going to get out of hand, and you just think, you know what, they're going to keep pace in the first half and he's going to do better than people think. I'm going to build every group that I have with any quarterback at captain, and we'll do this with Rodgers too. Whether you're hand building these lineups or whether you're building them into a lineup builder like the one over at Fantasy Labs, I'm going to put every one of his potential pass catchers in there. If you want to use the running backs, that's just fine, but they're going to pop anyway. Those 4 wide receivers that I spoke about, Cephas, Raymond, Amon-Ra St. Brown, pardon me, and then Trinity Benson right here at 1,000. You can work the running backs in there too if you want, to make sure that you get at least 2 of those. And then the one guy that I think that we have to consider for captain on the Lions from these pass catchers is going to be TJ Hawkinson. An absolutely absurd 11 targets in week 1 for somebody that we projected to get over 20% of targets and probably over 23.5% of the Lions targets over the course of this season. There's just nobody else that's basically as talented as TJ Hawkinson is, and targets are going to get funneled to him. And at the tight end position, not a lot of guys get targets funneled to them as frequently as TJ Hawkinson projects to this year. So that's why he had the ADP that he had all throughout the season, or all throughout draft season. We're also going to use him. And as I said, anytime that we've got TJ Hawkinson in captain, I'm going to tie him to a Jared Goff in here. If TJ Hawkinson goes off for like 9 catches, 120 yards, and a touchdown or 2, that means that Jared Goff also had a serviceable game in terms of a flex play in single game showdown, 18, 24 points, whatever it may be, to be able to play in that flex spot. So I'm going to tie him. If TJ Hawkinson has a good enough game to be the MVP, that means that Jared Goff is going to go along with him. Looking over at the other side of the ball, on Green Bay, if I'm building this Aaron Rodgers lineup, I'm going to include Adams, not going to include Jones or force him. He'll be in lineups with Aaron Rodgers that I'm going to build, but like, I'm not going to force that. I'm going to force 2 pass catchers. So that means guys like MVS, who, you know, he had 8 targets, but he didn't do anything with them. He's more of a big splash guy, but if he's going to get that sort of usage in the pass game, now granted, this was a game where they benched Devontae Adams early, where they benched Aaron Jones early. He got a few garbage time targets as well. He's really a 4 to 6 target guy on a week in, week out basis, but because of the way that offense runs, the deep threat is always going to be there for him. Lazard is going to be in that group, not going to include AJ Dillon. Randall Cobb will be in that also, as well as Tunyon. Probably I'm going back and forth on whether or not I want to use Tunyon as a captain this week. He's so touchdown dependent, but when he catches touchdowns, if he catches them in bunches, very possible for him to be the guy. But if he's got 2 touchdowns, Aaron Rodgers probably has 4, and he would be the optimal captain even in those scenarios, because he's never going to get there for you. Tunyon isn't, in terms of yards and catches. He's just does not profile as like an 8 catch, 90 yard, 2 touchdown sort of play. So it's very hard for him to get there, even if he gets a double touchdown game, to be the viable captain spot. Now, obviously, because I said that on this recording, that means that he's clearly going to be the optimal captain by the time the slate's over. You do what you want. Also, for these quarterback captain groups, I'm going to have a bring back group that includes basically every single offensive player on Detroit, whether it's Goff or Hawkinson, Swift, Williams, any of the pass catchers. I'm going to make sure that at least one of those guys is included in every one of my Aaron Rodgers captains lineups, to make sure that we have some sort of push and pull along with them. You do have to have at least one player from both teams in your lineup. And because of the way that this game is going to go, as usual, I'm going to build that other group that just disallows multiples. Now, the Packers defense is way more expensive than most defenses are because of how bad this team does project to be. 5,000 for a defense on a showdown is pretty high, at least in terms of, upside and everything else. I'm going to build a group that makes sure that I get one of these for in any lineup. So looking over at the Fantasy Labs lineup builder, we head over to the optimizer, we hit settings. I've already got this set in as a saved template. So you just come over here, you can save your template, and I'm going to load this one. That has all of my settings that I want. Use a minimum of 90% of the salary cap. Do not use a kicker or a defense in the captain spot, something that I just am vehemently opposed to. If it's a kicker and captain night, then I'm just going to lose, guys. That's just, sometimes you can't win every showdown, but you have to do the things that put you in the best position to win the showdowns. So as we said before, captain quarterback, pair them with at least 2 of the wide receiver, tight ends, and kickers from their team. Pair the captain quarterback with at least 1 of all the offensive players from the opponent. Pair the captain wide receiver with exactly 1 quarterback. Pair the captain tight end with exactly 1 quarterback, and limit to at most 1 defense or kicker from the same game. You can build in other rules. One that I would like for you to try and build in every single showdown slate that you're going to play is come over here to the player groups, add a group, use at least 1. Pick 5 players and make sure you're not picking them that have a captain tag on them. Pick 5 players that you think are going to be under 20% for the tournament. It's never going to be the quarterbacks. It's never going to be the primary running backs. These are like the first one with Tampa Bay against Dallas. Gronk was in that group. The first time again, or the Monday night game on the Raiders, Waller was not in that group, but Edwards was. Somebody that you need to pay attention to. Guys that are going to be on the field and play a lot, but they're just not going to have a lot of them, because when you get across that finish line, if you do happen to win that tournament, I want you to make sure that you're not holding hands with 500 or 1,000 people. In the case that you bink a tournament on these showdown slates, you want to take down as much as possible. On that first showdown slate on FanDuel, I think like 900 people ended up sharing all the money on that tournament. And that's not something that we want you to do. So make sure that you're trying to get a little bit of differentiation in your lineups by forcing 1 lower played player into every lineup, even if it's not like doesn't project as the most optimal for that night. When that hits, like Gronkowski catching 2 touchdowns in week 1, it puts you in a much better position to win, and not just win, but win with, maybe if you're splitting it, and you are likely to split a showdown slate, you're likely to split it with like 10 or 20 or 30 people, as opposed to 200, 500, or 1,000 people. It's that easy to build those 150 lineups, whether you're using 3, 10, 20, 50, 100, or 150. Make sure that you go over to Fantasy Labs. There's going to be a link down in the pinned comment. smizzle.tv/labs with an uppercase labs. Make sure that you go check them out. Great stuff. Links to all the other discounts in my socials are right there in the description when you click show more, and be sure that you drop even $1 on the No Kid Hungry fundraiser. Let's see if we can get to 25K on the season. That's it for this Monday night. I wish you the best of luck, and we'll see you at the finish line. Bye. He's a legend.